can take me, but man, one day. But speaking of one day, it's time for game 1 of our YCS Top 32.
$50 to get it framed.
We got Ruben versus Ryan. They're having a nice little chat here, but here we go. The dice roll. I'm assuming it's high. We have 11 coming from Ruben, very high.
Now, what if they went low? You never know.
I'll be going first.
Oh, there it is. Ruben has probably declared first. We have a beautiful handshake from both players.
Now, Steven Rodriguez, do we say the last names or do we just keep everyone confused at home?
I think confusion is good.
All right, so Steven, I know that you play a lot of the Malice deck yourself. The mirror match, like you said, very complex because the way you interact with each other can actually sometimes enable what your opponent's Malice cards will do.
Well, I don't think it matters necessarily what the sort of matchup is. Whenever you start with Dormouse, I'm always really happy as a Malice player, and so I imagine Ruben is very ecstatic. But something that we've seen kind of change in a lot of Malice decks is the inclusion of differing Cyberse Link 1s. Ever since Link Decoder got taken off and put on the Forbidden list, we need to play more things like Lingaribo, or even I've seen Salamangreat Almirage in some decks. So there could be a world where Ruben tries to do his normal standard Malice combo, but he does it all with a Lingaribo in play.
Well, speaking of standard combos, looks like after we use Dormouse's effect to banish the Chessy Cat, we're going to go ahead and pay 300 to bring that out. Set the trap card, kind of showcasing maybe he's got the sauce, able to use that to dodge. Now we're going to use Chessy Cat's effect.
Yeah, I didn't spot which one that was, but okay, here we're seeing it very quickly.
So here we're going to have Chainlink 1 be Chessy Cat, but then Chainlink 2 will be Malice C MTP 07 to search for another Malice name. We're able to activate it this turn because we are banishing the Dormouse as a part of that activation requirement. Not necessarily a cost, but yeah.
All right, so we're getting Malice March Hare, kind of the monster of the moment. Very powerful, really skyrocketed this already powerful deck back to the top cut.
Yeah, it's not one of the best to immediately start off with, but man, the way it lets you extend is beautiful. It really does feel like it's the in-archetype bestial card for Malices.
And I think the biggest problem that it solves is you can now draw too many Malice names, and it's now a good thing because now you can banish straight from the hand, which is just so important for this deck.
Well, it also helps the deck basically recover from its hits on the Forbidden Limited list, right? There are less Malice names. Well, I got a few new ones. Not necessarily as powerful as the other ones, but gets access to them really quickly. And speaking of access, we got Splash Mage on the field to grab something out of the graveyard.
Yeah, one of the classic Link 2s that you go for. There's a lot of options, but when you've already used some of your banish effects and you want to save those for later in the turn, Splash Mage is one of the more safe options, but it can get punished by things like this, where we have Druid Swarm coming out as a chain to Splash Mage's effect.
And because that Dormouse early in the turn already used its banish effect to come back, it won't be able to go again, so we do need to find some other access to a Malice name, otherwise getting to a Link 3 will be too difficult for Ruben.
Now we do still have that March Hare, so Ruben should still be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh right now. But what else is in the hand is the question, because there's a lot of lines that the Malice cards can go down, and that's why I love watching the top duelists pilot this deck, because what they choose to do teaches you just how strong the deck is. But we have a Nibiru, the Primal Being, at a very critical juncture, because if we get to a Link 3, that is very good for Ruben. Not going to be able to get there.
Not to glaze up Ryan too much, but this play's even more cool because he's going to get rid of his own Druid Swarm to get rid of the token from Ruben's board, not give him any bodies to work with to keep Link climbing. Very heads-up play from Ryan to sequence the Druid Swarm before the Nibiru.
Talked about it before, you always have to feel like Nibiru's in the room, but then if you play too conservatively, you might miss an opportunity here. So Ruben didn't do anything wrong, but the comet does come down sometimes.
Yeah, we got to change the, what's the phrase, elephant in the room? It's the giant asteroid in the room. Okay, we are just throwing out cards left and right here. So, okay, Ruben had the Malice in Underground, which is fantastic to open, but we also have the impulse to stop it on Ryan's side.
Well, the impulse is stopping the White Rabbit's effect to special summon, but yeah, just the same, that Malice in Underground is not going to get anything done. So drawing for turn and summoning the Dormouse.
Normal summon Dormouse is very scary, especially when you have the ability to attack your opponent on this turn. This could be all she wrote for Ruben if he doesn't have the same kind of level of interaction that Ryan had during his turn. Also, I want to give another huge shout out to Ryan here for his sequencing. Impulse after you use Nibiru is amazing, because if you impulse before, you wouldn't be allowed to use Nibiru, the Primal Being, because it is a light monster.
One of the only ones that the Malice deck will run. Happy that you were able to highlight that. And now Ryan has only one face-down unknown card to play through, and then I believe 3 in hand for Ruben.
Also, it is worth noting here, because of the attack boost that was given by Dormouse, we might have enough to do enough damage if we get just one more monster in place. You don't necessarily even need to go into any Link plays. We could just like summon another Malice monster and attack. So
Ryan able to effectively dodge a counter Nibiru, as it were.
Yes, by playing it all the summons, exactly.
It's important because Ruben wasn't able to activate GWC 06 to gain life points back, is still sitting at that Lower life point total, 6,800. This is why I wear glasses now, so I can actually read that on the screen. That was a difficulty before.
And if you're Ryan, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, what could that set card be? It could be another Malice Trap. And we are going straight into battle phase, though.
I'll attack for 15.
We have 15 coming in from this first Dormouse.
Now, does Ruben have anything to absorb damage?
If that set card
Interact with the field.
is something like 06, it could get like an extra body in play, but if it's not, this could be all she wrote.
And it looks like Ryan is sequencing the smaller attacks first, almost in like an anti-Gores way, because you don't want something to come out with a GW06 and then block the shot of the Meteor of the Primal Being or something
waiting
like
to get
that.
punished by Tragodia here, you know?
Right.
Okay, save that for the Time Wizard format.
Also, if it is something like a Druid Swarm and stuff, he wants to make sure he saves his most powerful attack to clear over it.
Absolutely.
Exactly, yeah.
21.
So that's 5,000 damage if this goes through. But we do have the 06 from Ruben. This allows us to summon a Malice from either the Banishment or the Graveyard.
Now, which one will he use? He's going to try and block the Chessy Cat.
Oh, not sure if he wants to do that. I think we're going to go for the Chessy Cat instead.
Okay, it'll be...
Replay, I will attack for 600.
Yep, so I'll take another additional 600.
This is
And we're at
tight.
With your 200.
So the 3,000 from the Nibiru, he's down to, I believe, 200 if my quick math is correct. That's not even enough to activate a single Malice effect for Ruben.
Yes.
Gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way, just collect those monsters on the field. Maybe a backup Adignister might be able to get him back in the game.
I mean, I never thought I'd see a Malice mirror match where a single Link 3 monster was summoned after all the damage was dealt.
Yeah.
But really good looking out, not overcommitting, certainly thinking, hey, I put the Nibiru down on my opponent's field, he could do the same to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here we have the Red Ransom searching for Ryan's own Malice in Underground.
Interesting to see that we hadn't seen a lot of Nibiru in the feature matches on day one, but now already been very popular here on day two, showing that the top duelists, they made the read. A lot of that, you know, the non-engine that you choose to play can be what dictates how far you can go in big tournaments like this. I think Nibiru is a fantastic option here.
I think someone once said, I don't care how strong your plan is, every duelist, when they get hit by a Nibiru, is going to get stumbled.
Yeah,
It's that day two difference.
Here we have the Dark coming down. Going to be stealing a Malice name from Ruben, so that way Ryan can keep playing. We're going to go straight into a Link 3 here, probably going to be White Binder and get access to his Malice Trap cards.
Effect on summon, I will target this.
So you got to wonder if Ruben isn't able to pay enough life points in order to get back in the game. Is he just kind of scoping out what it is that Ryan will do uninhibited?
Yes.
So here we got the 3 targets for White Binder's Banish. It's going to be Red Ransom, his own Dormouse, and 06. And now we're going to use Red Ransom, summon back out, and then banish from the deck. This could be the March Hare line, so we have access to that in case Ruben does have any plays on his turn.
Yeah, that quick effect ability, really powerful.
Yeah.
Yep, so we're at a total of 6,200 life points now for Ryan, as opposed to Ruben's 200. Like you said, Steven, though, that's not enough life points to really do any Malice combos with.
Yeah.
Certainly is not.
So Ruben, the reigning TCG World Champion, in the backseat here. He's going to have to, like you said, the Adignister cards can help you get out of situations like this because you don't have to pay life points to activate those effects, but you're going to be playing theoretically into an established board unless Ruben does still have a Nibiru in hand or something to stop Ryan along the path.
Oh, wow.
So here we see the power of Malice on Underground, banishing Malice in the Mirror, the brand new spell card from Alliance Insight, which will then allow you to banish another Malice name from your graveyard or hand. That'll be the White Binder, adding the March Hare off the Malice in the Mirror. And now March Hare on a White Binder on a brand new chain will pay 900, summon itself out, and draw another card for Ryan. Just showing off the extra extension you can do with the new cards from Alliance Insight.
Masterful play. I think we're about to see a tuner monster, speaking of At-Ignisters.
Yeah, because here we're using Cyber's Wicked to search for backup At-Ignister. So Ryan is playing some At-Ignister cards, but he might not be playing as many as we think, because his designation on our website is Malice only.
And for anyone wondering, that doesn't mean that he's not playing any At-Ignisters. It just means that not enough to really warrant that additional tag. So still included in the combo here.
Here we gotta get the Cyberse Wizard, it looks like.
Yep, Wizard At-Ignister was added from the deck to the hand. Ryan considering his next options. Playing at a great speed, though. Probably has been doing this all day, every day, getting ready for this event.
And again, very impressive to see all this after the fact, trying to dodge those things like Nibiru, like Impulse that you were talking about. If you can just do enough damage to almost beat a mouse player, that's fine.
Sure.
And again, I just want to highlight how different this sequencing is compared to a lot of the other Malice players that we were seeing on day one, even in the earlier feature matches. just because when you put this deck in the hands of some of the smartest brains to pick up Yu-Gi-Oh cards, it is just beautiful seeing how they choose to navigate. Like, if you just map out Malice Effects as a decision tree, that's a really big tree. That's that's an oak right there.
You could get a PhD in how to play this Malice deck. It is insane.
Yeah.
You have to be a computer programmer to use this deck, it feels like sometimes.
That would probably help.
Well, Ryan showing that world champions are built different. Great field here. It looks like we're going to go ahead and combine the Heart Scriptor there and... Oh,
Summon Bomber.
oh the Topologic!
Yeah.
This was something we saw a little bit in day one. This is a really fun way to have like sort of a Raigeki-like effect as your end board interaction, because all of your stuff is in the graveyard. So once you clear with Bomber, then you can activate all your other cards to bring your stuff back, and it's really powerful.
Who needs to play Mitsurugi when you could just play Topologic Bomber Dragon?
Okay, so Ruben's first problem to fight through is the... Oh, I was going to say nothing anymore because he's conceding.
Wow. Do you think he was just holding out for the next draw, or he
Ooh.
really wanted to see the information?
He really wanted to learn how Ryan plays his Malice deck, for sure. He wanted to see, do you have access to Allied Kotaker? Do you have lines to go into the backup Agnister and stuff?
Are you running the topological Bomber Dragon? Things like that, yeah. So he did get information, actually, in terms of some things that Ryan is on. And, I mean, when you see as strong of a start of an opening hand that Ruben had, it's very rare to see the game go to the opponent, but Ryan had the correct cards to answer, the Dominus Impulse, the Nibiru. And again, the sequencing, like you highlighted, Steven, being able to play those correctly to counter his opponent's moves, I mean, just class act there from Ryan, really, really well played.
Yeah, it's almost interesting to see, you know, me and Steven have been talking all weekend that, like, one-for-one interactions like Effect Veiler and Imperm, yes, they're still really strong, but they just don't seem to get the job done against these powerful combo decks like Malice. But when you pair stuff like Impulse with things like Nibiru, the Primal Being, or even Bestial Druisworm, it becomes so much more valuable for you. Honestly, I'd say the biggest thing that we learned about Ryan's deck was he is playing Bestials. Not a lot of, you know, Agnister Mouse players are on the Bestials because they're like, March here already does that same job. Why would I need more cards to do the same thing? Well, they don't necessarily do the same thing because you can disrupt your opponent at the same time with cards like the Bestials.
What I've seen typically is with the addition of March Hare, you still can run Bestials, but it's just not that insanely thick, you know, Bestial count that we used to have where you're running like upwards of 6 Bestials in the main deck. Because it also just doesn't do as much against the mirror match unless you're saving it for something, you know, like that backup Agnister, or rather the Wizard to get that additional card from the graveyard. So, yeah, I think that having the count still makes sense, but you're right that it's not as common in every single Malice deck. We have seen some builds without them.
Both duels seem to be locked in and ready to go. Fairly quick side decking there. Again, both duels will have a reprisal performance at the World Championship, so this is almost just practice, right? Just hanging out,
True.
Playing against some of the best duelists in the world. This is how you get this good, is you get up this top, and then you keep getting it again and again and again, so you get that matchup experience that is just world class.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely a matchup that these two have been prepared for this event. They know how they want to side, they know what they're going to bring in, and they know how they're going to play. They have their opening hands ready. My assumption is Ruben's going to go first. Let's see how Game 2 of Top 32 shapes up.
Ryan versus Ruben. Ryan currently sitting with 1 game in his favor in this best of 3. And now we'll have it be Ruben's choice. He won the dice roll before, but after losing, he gets to choose to go first.
Main phase is good. Ruben's going to begin his turn.
So no Mulcharmies, presumably.
Or at least not yet. Some people do hold off on their Mulcharmy just to kind of see the opponent get a little too deep.
True, now that the Triple Tactics talent is only at 1, and some people aren't even main decking it, so...
Well, Ruben's favorite card was Triple Tactics Talent.
It was?
Yeah, so maybe we'll see.
Think he was sad about the Forbidden and Limited list?
Maybe, but a duelist like that, he don't worry about it.
Interesting start here for Ruben.
Yes, the normal summon of the backup was ashed, and therefore it cannot continue, so we need some kind of Malice extender, like a Gold Sarcophagus or a Malice in Underground, to keep playing from here. Just backup alone will not be enough. Maybe something like link off into Lingaribo, summon you know, Agnister Wizard if we have it, but we probably don't because we started with the backup. So a little bit of an awkward spot here from Ruben. Nowhere near as strong as the start he had in Game 1.
Yeah, the Lingaribo in the mirror match will at least allow you to interact with your opponent's trap cards. But okay, we do have the Wizard.
Turns out I'm a little psychic, I guess. Ruben was able to open the Cypress combo without the need.
Monster, not a psychic.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I'm psychic, yes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Ha-ha. The cyber sleeves never look better. Oh, there's the Molcharmy held off to the last second. That's
You were
something
right.
Fellow teammate Jesse Cottony is infamous for holding those really powerful cards just so late to where you don't think you have them anymore. Maybe that's something he passed on to Ryan.
Wow.
Or maybe Ryan told him.
Can I just read this?
Go ahead.
So here we have the pass from Ruben over to Ryan. Ryan's just double checking how Agnister Wizard works, because essentially this card has like an effect to change the battle position of cards. That might come up here. I think it has it on summon though, so I don't know if you could do it on your opponent's turn.
Nothing too crazy yet. You'd almost think that this was not so much a playmaker deck, but an eye deck, right?
Yes. Ooh, I'm eyeing the only card that Ryan's going to start with here is going to be White Rabbit.
So I'm looking at Wizard at Agnister. It has the ability to banish a card from your field or graveyard, then target a monster your opponent control, changes battle position, but not a quick effect.
Yes.
So only on your turn.
So there we got the MTPO7 from Ryan. This could give us access to March Hare, which would be pretty cool, but we're just going to link off
Lingaribo?
into our own Lingaribo.
Talk about a literal mirror match.
Effective backup.
Ooh, but here we have the backup Agnister to special summon itself because we control a Cyber Slink monster.
Very similar start
I'll change.
between these duelists. And another Ash! So Ruben has the same counter.
Response.
This is a proper mirror match here. We're mirroring the same board in the same place.
Yeah.
2 cards in hand. I think Ryan may be passing his turn.
Thinking.
Sure.
Oh,
Both.
the Lingaribo stare down. One of those guys are so mad.
Honestly, that Lingaribo play from Ruben's really huge because it turns off Ryan's ability to use MTPO7 to get into the rest of his Malice engine, which is maybe something he was hoping for. It is worth noting that with the inclusion of March Hare, thanks to White Rabbit, MTPO7 becomes a bit of a starter now, but more than it used to be. It kind of serves a similar role as TB11.
Now, I was surprised to see that this is the tempo of a Malice mirror match. This is our first one here on the stream, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a lot different than you'd expect.
Yeah.
A lot more non-engine wars going on versus like a bunch of just Link 3s flying around.
Well, that's the thing with the updated FNL list is that, you know, all the other Malice is going to 2. Yes, you have March Hare now, but doesn't necessarily mean that
Sure.
you will never brick.
Yeah.
Rabbit effect.
But we do have the Haggard Lizardos. For cost, going to banish that White Rabbit and then pay 300 to bring it back. So Ryan was at least able to get back into the Malice cards.
Link summon Ransom.
Ooh, and
Sound
we
good?
are going to go for a Ransom now that we're going to be able to dodge the Ash on that card because it was already used earlier in the turn. This will get us access to Malice Underground, which, as we saw earlier, can give us access to things like Malice in the Mirror or other Malice names.
Now, importantly,
Resolution.
unless there's a line I'm unaware of, Ryan might have to go into battle phase to clear this Lingaribo so that you can actually use your traps.
Now
let's
who's
do it.
psychic?
Which then could mean that Ruben, yeah, there we go. So that means Ruben will at least get another turn, but you're going to be playing into, theoretically, a scary
Still in
field.
battle phase. Activate
Yeah,
the
because
G.
you're totally right. Without having access to the Malice trap cards here, Ryan would have been sort of overextending, really relying on this Malice and Underground to take him all the way if he wanted to like go for game necessarily.
That's why Lingaribo is such a powerful card in the mirror match specifically, because you can stop your opponent from, you know, fully comboing off. Just sitting on that can sometimes just guarantee that you get another turn.
Yep, and I believe we've taken a total of 1,500 life points as Ryan using all these Malice effects, bringing him down to 65 to Ruben's 6,000. A bit more life points than last time for Ruben, so if he gets access to Malice names, he will be able to pop off, as the kids say.
Is that what they're saying? I thought that's what we said when we were kids.
I've heard it, I've heard it.
Okay.
Speaking of kids, let me be old man grandpa here and get back into the duel here. We're going to have Jesse Cat go ahead and attack and clear out those monsters.
Spin phase 2.
Yep, we were still in the battle phase, everyone, in case you guys couldn't tell.
Nah,
From all
trap
the
did
summoning of
activate.
monsters.
Malice has a habit of just summoning guys whenever they feel like it, you know?
Yep, so we have the effect of Chessy Cat here, banishing Hare, Hare effect to add itself back. We just got a free draw 2. No big deal, no big deal.
I think it's a pretty big deal, personally.
If you're Ruben, maybe.
Yeah. Not ideal, for sure, for Ruben. But
Walls
Ryan's
maybe
feeling
closing
really
in.
good. Ryan's in a dominant position right now.
Effective Splash Mage, target. Jesse.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to keep climbing up. We want to get as many Link 3s as possible, it looks like, for Ryan. He might just end on the same board we saw last time, Bomber Dragon plus Malice Trap cards.
This is why I know I could never play Malice, because the concept of linking like 5 material down to 3, I can't do it. It doesn't work in my brain. I understand it's correct, but it is the difference maker between the top Malice players and folks like myself who avoid them.
Well, as you used to say, that's why they're up there and we're back here.
Exactly. I love reminding people there's a very good reason that I'm on this side of the desk.
It is a little antithetical to think, oh man, all my powerful Link 3 monsters, they're so great. Where are they most powerful? In my graveyard. Oh, they're most powerful in my graveyard? Oh, okay. I guess I'll Put him there?
Yeah.
Picked up Dormouse.
Yep.
Use them for
59.
later. Save them for a rainy day.
Yeah. And now we're going to be doing Dormouse. We've done all this without resolving Dormouse's effect, by the way,
Yeah.
y'all. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, rain's coming down hard on Ruben right now. He's got, what, 1 card face down, and I can't see how many in hand. There's 1 there. I don't know if there's any stacked. But not a lot of resources to play with as he just has to watch Ryan combo off.
Effect again 3,000.
Oh, wow. And he's going
All
to
right.
have 1 last card if that access code talker resolves.
Yeah, -1.
But in the open game state, we're going to make sure we fire out this MTPO7
Yeah.
because if we wait for the access code talker to banish, we won't be able to chain it.
Yeah, so on resolution of the access code talker targeting the link in the graveyard, you can do this. And now there's no target for access code talker to try and remove on the field, and we know that Ruben will have some form of starter.
No.
Will it actually be able to trigger is the
Banish
question.
Binder.
Yeah, 5K.
Effective Binder, yeah.
March Hare banishing Binder
You got
is
that, right?
that's a special kind of play right there. I
Yeah.
love that a little too much, I
No,
think.
not just
Yeah.
the Dormouse.
Just a lot of
You drew
Yu-Gi-Oh
off a
happening
chest,
here,
and
but it
then
looks
you
like
activated Underground.
just confirming everything here as White Binder hits the field.
Yeah, but I believe we used every single Malice name except for Dormouses to banish. No, I think we did banish Dormouse as well and send it back. So I think we've used them all right now.
Yeah,
Besides,
we got that off the Malice and Underground, I believe.
yeah, besides Heart Scripter, which we could go into right now.
But a reminder, this is main phase 2 because we had to go battle phase to clear Lingaribo, so that means that it's guaranteed Ruben will get to go a little bit more in this duel. It's just like, how are you going to play from this position is the question at this point. Yep. Set a couple of back row. Heart Scripter, pass.
Ruben's been in the jam before, but let's see how he does now.
Yeah.
Again, we saw Ryan sequence his non-engine very well and his interruptions very well in Game 1, but this will be a pretty tough one because even though we have the non-target banish of MTPO7 and Heart Scripter, against Malice cards, that might not be the best. He might save those for the bigger Link monsters.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of saving, this Allure of Darkness might have gotten him back in the duel. He's going to go ahead and draw 2, figure out which dark monster he wants to banish. Could be that Dormouse that I believe he just drew, and that could really get him back in here.
Could be a little backup ad Ignister too. It's hard to see with the
Yes.
glare.
Effect.
I think I did see a backup, yeah.
57.
This is a little bit of a risky line from Ruben because now this Dormouse can be banished
anything.
permanently.
That's
No,
the
no
tricky
quick
thing in
effects
the
on
mirror
summon.
match is that if you banish your opponent's monsters, they come
No
back.
shots.
But now,
Banish the Dormouse.
target on's back, and there we go.
But this could be just one giant ploy to protect whatever his other Malice normal summon is.
Yes,
I know
if
you
we do have a
have
March Hare or
MTP set in
something,
which
and we
column?
can get that banished, we can get that Dormouse back in the normal
Thank you.
summon. We'll
And then in
see.
your hand, I don't
Nothing
know
in hand.
March Hare because
I
you
wanna
used
listen
it
in a
last
little
turn,
bit.
correct?
Correct.
Yep, Ruben's just making sure he has all the information he needs to make his plays accurately. I believe the only known thing is the set MTPO7, and that is it.
A lot of unknown unknowns. Ruben
Yeah.
considering his options. I mean, he did get back in the game with the Allure of Darkness for sure, but now he's basically back to the same situation. He's just got a few cards in hand, nothing to speak of on the field.
And he needs to use Malice cards to start his combos off, because if he doesn't, he leaves himself open to the MTPO7 non-target banish.
Normal summon?
Okay, here we see
Using
the...
effect.
No effect on summon.
He is just summoning the backup.
No effect to search.
This could be a Lingaribo line. If he has a second one in his extra deck, potentially. That could
They
be,
never
that-
expect the second Lingaribo.
they never do, honestly.
I can tell you, with confidence. And it's the second
Oh,
Lingaribo.
wow, and using the extra link material spot there opened up by the Heart Scripter.
That's actually really big because it just allows him to go into things like White Binder more seamlessly.
All right. Okay, maybe the second.
Oh, I told ya! That
That's
is
his-
Ruben's favorite card for a reason.
That is 1 of 1 as well. He's like, I can't make my own Heart Scripter. I'll take yours, though.
Yeah. And, I mean, he didn't have that many resources to go for, but the search of Dormouse, the Allure of Darkness to draw 2, dig a little bit deeper into that deck, is now putting Ruben in a position where
Chain MT.
he's playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Lingaribo.
against a very established field.
All right, we're going to chain Lingaribo on the chain of MTPO7 to banish and negate that card.
But that kind of forces the Lingaribo to go away, so if the other 2 trap cards are high impact, now Lingaribo's no longer there to negate them.
Yes, also MTPO7 gets a lot worse when you do not control a
I don't have
Malice
any
Link 3.
effects on summon.
Okay.
Or on resolution.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Yeah, he wouldn't get the banish effect at that point, so might as well just use it now.
And it is a little bit risky
let's use
for
it
Ruben to
first.
have this Heart Scripter because we're going to attempt to use its effect. Yeah, to my knowledge, he is able to...
Impermanence.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Okay. So Ruben has committed his normal summon, correct? That was a normal
He
summon
has
to
from
back up.
the backup operator. There's going to be backup
Ignis,
Ignister.
Yeah.
But we have a second one, but there's the Dominant Symbols to keep it off the board, and
wow.
Ruben offers the handshake in concession. Ryan Yu is the winner of this top 32 mirror match of Malice between 2 world champions. What an upset. 32 beating first place.
Yeah, it's incredible, but Ryan showing that he has absolutely every right to be here. Not only does he have one world championship under his belt as the Master Duel World Champion, but he also was a Dragon Duel World Champion, so maybe that's the difference, is that Ryan's got 2 under his belt, even though he is so young. So Ruben learning a lesson here from the next generation of duelists, but great performance here, undefeated, our #1 duelist coming into this bracket, and certainly no slouch, but sometimes you do everything right, and you just have to have the cards, just draw them in the right order. He was talking about that too yesterday.
Yep, game 1, it was very much clear that Ryan showed us the power of his non-engine and how he could play with that. But in game 2, he saw just how strong his engine was at breaking apart Ruben's board and being able to play through it. I mean, going to battle phase with just a bunch of little malice cards and getting Ruben down solo was just super impressive to see in game 1.
Yeah, definitely depleted all the resources that he had, just really got him really low. And by the way, speaking of low, we're a little lower on count here of Steven. We're going to have Steven go over to the stage there so he can make his announcements there, or rather interview our winner. It's crazy, though. Ryan just really got it done. That was some just crazy good Malice play.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, it was just impressive to see Ruben do a great job in day 1 and still finish strong, topping another YCS.
Yeah, which is wild. I mean, how many times can this kid do it?
Well, I know he's going to try to do it again at the World Championships later this year.
Yeah, that's right. And he also was here. So, you know what that means, right?
Oh, I think it's time to potentially talk more about the awesomeness in top 32 before we throw over to them.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and throw on down, right? Oh, maybe not. My bad.
No,
so
no
I'm
worries.
so excited here. I'm so excited. It's just one of these things where you get like these world championship competitors. You almost got a tunnel vision to lose track there.
Yes.
But it is true to have another YCS championship under his belt will remind duelists of exactly who Ryan is and kind of put him back into the spotlight, not only as a Master Duel champion, but as a TCG champion as well. We do have a lot of other duelists here in competition. It's going to be a crazy event, but it's interesting to see what the Malice matchup looks like. That is, I said it earlier, it does look a lot different than I was expecting.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That was definitely the scariest deck of the weekend, and seeing them kind of match up against each other was really impressive because it is not the easiest thing to interact with if you're any other deck, but also, even if you're Malice, it could be a little tricky.
Yeah, the Lingaribo really put a lot of pressure. You could feel how big its aura was. Tiny little monster, not really a lot of attack, but it's just like Lingaribo lingering around on the field, keeping really both duelists at bay. But once that Lingaribo went away, the Infinite Impermanence just was able to go ahead and negate that, and that triple tactics talent, good as it may be, can't really do much with that link-free monster, so he was kind of locked out of the duel from there.
Yep, and now that Ryan advances in the top 16, I imagine he's expecting to play against more Malice decks, more Mitsurugi decks, Ryzeal decks that he's experiencing all weekend long, but you and I have seen some spice as well throughout this, and I'm really excited to update you guys as more stuff advances throughout this tournament. It's what we can expect in later rounds.
Oh, goodness. Well, speaking of later rounds, I'm so glad that we're here for the top 32 because, a lot of really cool things are going to happen in this top cut. Speaking of which, cool things?
Ooh, I think it's time to go throw over to Steven Kangas. He's left us for a very important reason, and that's to talk to Ryan Yu on how he had this impressive victory. Let's go ahead and throw it to them and see what they have to say.
Thank you very much. I have Ryan on stage. Congratulations on your feature match win versus Ruben. This was World Champ versus World Champ, and I want to start off with that. What was it like when you first found out that you were playing against Ruben in your round 32?
I would say it was more crazy to me that I made top 32 than that it was Ruben specifically. Getting in at 32nd. It was just extremely stressful, but it was a nice moment, like hearing my name and with all my friends there to support me. And Ruben's really good, obviously. I've known him for a long time, respect him a lot. So obviously kind of wish we wouldn't have to play, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. At the end of the day, there can only be one winner at the end of today. But I want to go back to the matchup because it was Malice versus Malice, which I know you were saying, you're like, it happens a lot, but we haven't seen a lot on stream, let alone two of the best at it. So talk to me about the game state, specifically when you're sequencing things like the Nibiru, things like the Dominus Impulse, that turn one, because you were able to stop Ruben in his tracks.
Yeah, so I opened my turn one hand. It was Impulse, Nibiru, and Jurisworm. So typically what I would do, I think, is you want a Nibiru before the Jurisworm, because if I put the Jurisworm on the field, then he can Impulse the Nibiru, and Nibiru's higher impact. But the way he sequenced his turn made me think, like, he's not going for White Rabbit, he's going for Hare, so there's a potential that he can have Underground in hand to banish Rabbit later. And the Jurisworm's not getting as much value if you use it after the Nib, because while it plays